too quiet. Not worth the risk. The words sliced through her before she even realized she had heard them. Celine Vera's chest tightened, her fingers curling around the hem of her gown as she stood at the fringe of the selection hall, invisible to everyone except him. Kaler Draven, the Alpha King, had already chosen another, one of perfect lineage, flawless poise, and calculated charm. She was nothing in comparison, or so everyone in the room believed. The hall glittered under silver chandeliers, polished marble reflecting every whisper, every cautious glance. Each Omega held her breath, each hoping, praying, that the Alpha would see them. Celine had dared to hope too, but hope had betrayed her. Applause thundered around her as the chosen noble stepped forward, the sound hollow in her ears. Her legs trembled, the weight of invisibility pressing down harder than the dress she wore. She had always survived on being overlooked, on staying quiet. Tonight, even that felt impossible. Then he entered. Kaler Draven. The Alpha King, whose presence didn't need announcing, commanded every corner of the room before his foot touched the floor. All movement slowed, whispers died, and the world seemed to pause. His amber eyes swept the room, landing on the expected, the worthy, the alliances carefully arranged for politics and power. And yet, when his gaze found her, it lingered. The air between them shifted, charged and impossible. His step carried purpose, ignoring the hierarchy, the rules, the expectations of every alpha and noble present. He stopped at the edge of the line, directly in front of her, and the hall collectively inhaled. Celine's pulse hammered in her chest, and for a moment, she couldn't breathe. He didn't look through her, didn't ignore her. He saw her. "I found you," he whispered, a statement more than a question, a declaration that left no room for misunderstanding. The words rippled through the hall, breaking the rigid order of the selection ceremony. Every eye turned toward them, every whisper stopped mid-sentence. The Alpha King, known for choosing the perfect match, had chosen her. His hand extended, deliberate, patient. Not demanding, not claiming, only waiting. Celine's body trembled with disbelief and something deeper, something electric and undeniable. Slowly, cautiously, she placed her hand in his. The contact, light as it was, sent a thrill through her entire body. "You were overlooked," he murmured, his amber gaze locking on hers with an intensity that left her breathless. "Not anymore." The words were soft, but the promise behind them was thunderous, shaking every certainty she had held about her place in the world. In that instant, Celine understood. She was no longer invisible. She was seen. By the Alpha King, by fate, and by something neither of them could deny. The crowd around them faded, meaningless. All that remained was the electric charge of his gaze, the undeniable pull that had existed between them long before anyone had named it. And in that moment, the impossible became certain. This was only the beginning of something wild, dangerous, and unforgettable. Celine didn't stay long enough to understand what had just happened. The moment his hand left hers, when the hall erupted into whispers, shock, and barely concealed outrage, something inside her snapped. Because it wasn't supposed to happen like that. Not after what she had just heard. Not after watching him choose another. Not after being reminded, so clearly, so cruelly, of exactly where she stood. Temporary. Unwanted. Forgettable. The air in the hall turned suffocating. Eyes followed her now, but not the way she had once imagined. Not with admiration. With suspicion. Confusion. Judgment. Why her? She's nothing. There has to be a reason. Celine stepped back before anyone could stop her. Before he could say anything else. before she could make the mistake of believing him. Because whatever that moment had been, it didn't erase what came before it. It didn't change the truth. He had chosen another, and she had heard exactly what people like her were worth. She turned and walked away. This time, no one stopped her. Not the guards. Not the court. Not even him. The corridors stretched endlessly, silver light chasing her shadow as she moved faster, her breath uneven now, her chest tight with something dangerously close to breaking. She didn't cry. Not yet. Because crying meant staying. And she couldn't stay. Not where every glance now held questions she couldn't answer. Not where his touch still burned against her skin. Confusing everything. Why her? The question echoed louder with every step. Why now? Why after choosing someone else? Why look at her like that? Like she mattered. When everything else said she didn't. Celine pushed the thoughts away. Because answers didn't matter. Only distance did. By the time she reached the outer gates, the night had already settled over the kingdom, thick and quiet, the forest beyond stretching dark and endless. Freedom, or something close to it. The guards barely looked at her. Why would they? She wasn't important enough to track. Not important enough to question. Not important enough to stop. The realization didn't hurt this time. It studied her. Confirmed what she already knew. Celine stepped past the boundary without hesitation. And didn't look back. The forest swallowed her quickly. Cold air. Uneven ground. The distant sound of something moving in the dark. Danger. Real. Immediate. But none of it felt as sharp as what she had left behind. Her body slowed only when the palace lights disappeared completely. Only when silence replaced the noise. Only when she was truly alone. She leaned against a tree, breath finally breaking free, her fingers pressing against her chest as if she could steady the chaos inside. His touch lingered. His voice. I found you. A lie. It had to be. Because people like him didn't find people like her. They chose power. Status. Perfection. Not something overlooked. Not something like her. Celine closed her eyes. Just for a second. Then pushed away from the tree. And kept moving. Deeper. Farther. Until the kingdom was nothing more than a memory behind her. And whatever came next would be hers alone. Kaler knew the moment she left. Not because anyone told him. Not because the guards reported it. But because something in him, something sharp, instinctive, unignorable, went suddenly, violently quiet. Ronde. The selection hall still buzzed with noise. Nobles whispered behind careful smiles, alliances shifted in real time, and the woman he had publicly chosen stood exactly where he left her. Perfect. Acceptable. Irrelevant. Kaler's gaze moved once across the room. Celine was gone. The absence hit harder than it should have. Sharp. Immediate. Final. She stepped out, Your Majesty. Someone offered carefully, misreading the tension settling into his shoulders. Kaler didn't respond, because stepping out implied returning, and something in his chest said she wouldn't. Not this time. Not after what she had heard. His jaw tightened slightly. She means nothing to me. The words echoed back, not as strategy, not as protection. As consequence. He turned abruptly. The shift in the room was instant. Your Majesty? The chosen noble began, her voice carefully controlled, already sensing something unraveling. Kaler didn't look at her. Dismissed, he said flatly. Confusion rippled through the hall. But the ceremony is over. No explanation. No correction. Just authority, cold, absolute, and impossible to challenge. The room fell into stunned silence as he walked away. Fast. Not the controlled, measured pace of a king. Something sharper. Something closer to urgency. The corridors blurred past him, guards straightening too late, servants stepping aside without understanding why the air suddenly felt heavier. She left through the outer wing. One guard reported quickly, catching up to him. Kaler didn't slow. How long? A few minutes at most. Minutes. Too much time. She was alone? Yes, Your Majesty. Of course she was. She had always been. That thought landed heavier than expected. Kaler stepped out into the night. Cold air hit him immediately, carrying the faintest trace of something familiar. Hey. Faint. Fading. But there. His senses sharpened instantly. Locked. Focused. Tracking. She went into the forest, the guard added. Kaler didn't answer. He didn't need confirmation. He could feel it. The direction. A pull. Like something inside him had already decided. Prepare a search party, the guard continued. No. The word cut cleanly. Final. The guard hesitated. Your Majesty? Kaler's gaze remained fixed on the dark line of trees ahead. She doesn't want to be found. Understanding flickered too late in the guard's expression. Then how? I will find her. Not a plan. Not a strategy. A certainty. Because this wasn't about duty. Or the crown. Or the ceremony he had just abandoned. This was something else entirely. Something instinctive. Something that refused to be ignored. Kaler stepped forward, crossing the boundary without hesitation. Behind him, the kingdom waited. Uncertain. Unstable. Unfinished. Ahead, darkness. Silence. And the faint, fading trace of the one person he had just realized. He should never have let walk away. The forest didn't welcome her. It swallowed her. Celine moved carefully now, urgency fading into awareness. Every sound mattered. Every step, every shift in the wind. Danger lived here. Her body ached, exhaustion settling in, but she didn't stop. Stopping meant thinking, and thinking meant remembering. His voice. His touch. I found you. She clenched her jaw and kept moving. The deeper she went, the quieter it became. Even the night creatures pulled back, as if something larger had claimed the space. She felt it before she understood it. A shift. Subtle. Ronde. Her steps slowed. The air thickened, brushing against her skin, sharpening her senses. Celine turned slightly. Nothing. Only trees. Shadows. Silence. Still, her pulse quickened. Because she wasn't imagining it. He was close. Kaler moved without sound. Controlled. Unseen. But not unfelt. Her scent lingered, pulling him forward with sharp focus. She had gone deeper than expected. Not reckless. Surviving. His jaw tightened. He had let her believe she meant nothing. The distance between them closed. Not by chance. By instinct. Celine stopped. This time, she didn't ignore it. Her breath slowed. Her body stilled. Waiting. A step behind her. Soft. Deliberate. Her heart slammed. Don't. The words slipped out. A warning. She didn't turn. Because if she did, everything would change. Silence stretched. Heavy. Electric. You run fast, Kaler said finally, his voice low, different. Closer. Celine's fingers curled. You shouldn't have followed me. I didn't follow you. A pause. I found you. Her breath caught. Again. Those words. Closer now. Sharper. Celine turned. And there he was. No throne. No distance. Just him. And the way he looked at her. Focused. Intent. Dangerous. You chose someone else, she said, steadier than she felt. I chose nothing that matters. Too quick. Too certain. Celine shook her head. I heard. I know what you heard. Softer. Heavier. And you still left. Her chest tightened. What was I supposed to do? Stay. Kaylor stepped closer. One step. Enough. You were supposed to understand. Her breath hitched. How? By looking at me. The words landed hard. Because she had. And what she saw then didn't match now. Silence stretched again. Thick. Dangerous. Because now, neither of them could pretend this was nothing. The distance between them wasn't much, but it felt like everything. Celine could feel it, his presence pressing in, the heat of him cutting through the cold air, grounding and unsettling all at once. Every instinct told her to step back. She didn't. Because he didn't. Kaylor's gaze held hers unyielding. No crown. No court. No distance to hide behind. Just truth. Raw. Unfiltered. You shouldn't be here, she said, her voice quieter now, but not weak. I should be exactly where you are. The answer came without hesitation. Like there had never been another option. Salim's pulse stumbled. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't need to. His voice dropped slightly, not softer, closer. Dangerously close. The kind that didn't warn. The kind that pulled. She exhaled slowly, trying to steady herself, but it didn't work. Not with him standing there like that. Not with the way his eyes traced her face as if memorizing something he refused to lose again. You chose someone else, she repeated, because she needed him to deny it. Needed something solid. I chose what they expected, he said. Not defensive. Not apologetic. Certain. Celine's chest tightened. That's not the same thing? No. The single word cut through everything. Because none of that had anything to do with you. Her breath caught. That should have helped. It didn't. Because if she mattered, then why did it feel like she didn't? Kaylor stepped closer. This time, she felt it. The shift. The heat. The tension snapping tighter. You left, he said, his voice lower now, carrying something heavier beneath it. Something closer to restraint. Celine held her ground. You gave me a reason to. No. His answer was immediate. You gave yourself one. The words landed harder than expected. Her chest tightened, something sharp pressing against her ribs. That's not fair. It's not supposed to be. He stopped just short of touching her. Close enough that she could feel his breath. Close enough that the space between them didn't feel like distance anymore. It felt like anticipation. Celine swallowed. You said I meant nothing. There it was. The truth she couldn't ignore. Kaylor's expression shifted. Not denial. Not regret. Something darker. More honest. I said what I needed to say. Her brows pulled together slightly. To who? To them. The answer came slower this time. Measured. Celine's pulse quickened. And what about me? The question slipped out before she could stop it. Kaylor didn't hesitate. You were never supposed to hear it. Silence followed. Heavy. Complicated. Because that didn't fix anything. It made it worse. Celine shook her head slightly, stepping back this time. Finally, that doesn't change what I heard. No, he agreed quietly. It doesn't. The honesty in that should have pushed her further away. It didn't. Because he wasn't trying to convince her. He wasn't trying to control the outcome. He was just standing there, waiting. Celine's breath came slower now. Uneven. Conflicted. Then why are you here? She asked. The question hung between them. This time, Kaler moved. Not fast. Not forceful. Intentional. His hand lifted slowly, giving her time to step away. She didn't. His fingers brushed her wrist first. Light. Barely there. But it was enough. Her breath hitched instantly. Because the contact wasn't just physical. It was awareness. Sharp. Immediate. Unavoidable. Kaler's grip didn't tighten. Didn't claim. It stayed exactly like that. A question. Celine's pulse raced under his touch. You tell me to stay away, he said quietly. But you didn't run. Her lips parted slightly. No answer came. Because he was right. She hadn't. And that was the most dangerous part of all. Kaler's thumb shifted slightly against her skin. A small movement, but deliberate. Testing. Her reaction was immediate. A sharp inhale. A tremor she couldn't control. His gaze darkened. Not with power. With something else. Something that burned slower. Deeper. Celine's body betrayed her completely now. Every nerve aware. Every breath heavier. This is why, he said softly. Her eyes lifted to his. Why what? His hand moved slow, controlled, sliding from her wrist up to her arm. Not claiming. Tracing. Learning. Why I'm here. The words wrapped around her, heavier than his touch. Celine's chest rose sharply. You don't get to decide that alone. No, he agreed. His voice lowered further. But you don't get to pretend this isn't real. His fingers stilled against her arm. Waiting. Again. Choice. Celine's breath trembled. Because this wasn't confusion anymore. This wasn't misunderstanding. This was something else entirely. Something she felt just as strongly as he did, even if she didn't want to. Her hand moved before her mind caught up, gripping the front of his shirt, not pulling away, holding him there. Kaler's breath shifted, just slightly, but enough. And that was all it took. The tension between them snapped, not into chaos, into certainty. Kaler didn't move at first, even with her hand gripping his shirt. Even with the space between them gone, he held still, like the moment mattered too much to rush. Celine felt it, his restraint, sharp and controlled, threading through the tension between them. It only made everything worse. Or better. She wasn't sure anymore. Her fingers tightened slightly against his chest. That was all it took. Kaler's control snapped. Not completely, but enough. His hand moved fast this time, closing around her waist, pulling her flush against him. The impact stole the breath from her lungs, her body reacting instantly to the solid heat of his. Celine. Her name came out rough, not controlled, not distant. His other hand came up to her jaw, tilting her face toward his, forcing her to meet his gaze fully. No escape, no distance, only him. Her pulse raced, her breath uneven as his thumb brushed just under her lip, slow and deliberate. You keep running, he murmured. His voice dropped lower. But you don't want to. Her lips parted, but no words came. Because he was right. And they both knew it. Kaler's gaze flickered to her mouth, then back to her eyes. A silent question. A final pause. Celine didn't step away, didn't look down, didn't break. That was his answer. He closed the distance. The kiss wasn't gentle. It wasn't careful. It was restrained hunger finally breaking through. Celine gasped softly against him, her grip tightening as his hand pressed firmer at her waist, holding her exactly where he wanted her. Closer. Impossible. His lips moved against hers with a certainty that left no room for doubt, no space for hesitation. Every second stretched, heavy and consuming, the tension between them unraveling into something deeper. Her body responded before her mind could, leaning into him, matching him, wanting more. Kaylor's hold shifted, his hand sliding up her back, pulling her even closer as if distance itself had become unacceptable. The heat between them built quickly, dangerously, every touch amplifying it. Celine's breath trembled as she pulled back just enough to breathe. "This is a mistake," she whispered. But her hand didn't let go. Her body didn't move away. Kaylor's forehead rested briefly against hers, his breath steady despite everything burning beneath it. "No," he said quietly. "This is the only thing that isn't." Her chest tightened, because she felt it too. That certainty, that pull. His hand moved again, slower now, tracing the line of her spine, grounding instead of claiming. A shift, not just desire. Something deeper. "You don't trust me," he said. Not a question. Celine swallowed. "You gave me a reason not to." His jaw tightened slightly, but he didn't pull away. "Then don't trust what I said." His gaze held hers. "Trust this." His hand pressed lightly against her back again. Not forceful. Present. Real. Celine's breath hitched. Because this was real. Too real to ignore. Too strong to deny. Her fingers curled tighter into his shirt. Still holding him there. Still choosing not to leave. Kaylor noticed. Of course he did. His expression shifted again, something softer beneath the intensity. But no less dangerous. "Say it," he murmured. Her brows pulled slightly. "Say what?" "That you don't feel this." The challenge settled between them. Heavy. Unavoidable. Celine opened her mouth. Paused. Because lying suddenly felt impossible. Her voice came quieter. Barely steady. "I can't." That was enough. More than enough. Kaylor's grip tightened just slightly, not to restrain, but to anchor. To keep her exactly where she was. With him. Then stop fighting it. The words weren't forceful. They didn't need to be. Celine exhaled slowly. And for the first time, she didn't step back. Didn't question. Didn't run. Her hand loosened from his shirt, only to slide upward, resting against his shoulder instead. Closer. Different. A choice. Kaylor's gaze darkened again, but this time, there was no restraint left. Only certainty.